Did you know that Iron Man was almost played by Tom Cruise? Or that Robin Williams wanted to be part of Harry Potter so badly that he auditioned to portray Hagrid? Today we'll show you 25 actors who rejected or lost legendary roles. Let's watch it. It's fascinating. Sean Connery. The legendary Scottish actor had the opportunity to play John Hammond in Jurassic Park, the billionaire who used complex genetic extraction techniques to clone dinosaurs extinct millions of years ago. With his Scottish accent and charisma, Connery would have been perfect for the role. But he turned it down because he demanded a sum of money that the producers were unwilling to pay. Eventually, the character was played by Richard Attenborough. Immediately afterward, the actor famous for the James Bond series was offered not one, but two roles in the Matrix trilogy. The first was Morpheus, which ended up in the hands of Lawrence Fishburne. Connery then declined the role of the architect, arguing that he didn't fully understand the movie's plot. Around the same time, he made one of the biggest mistakes of his career. He refused to play Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the same reason. He didn't understand the script. Even after watching the finished movie with Ian McKellen in the role of the wizard, he still didn't grasp the story. A report after the release claimed he missed out on $450 million in earnings, including salary and a substantial share of the box office gross. Later, Sean Connery turned down another iconic movie wizard role, Albus Dumbledore in Harry Potter. Before Richard Harris was cast as the Hogwarts headmaster in the first two films, the production wanted the Scottish actor for the role, but once again, he declined, stating he had no interest in appearing in a children's movie about wizards. Will Smith. In the late 90s, Will Smith was one of the most sought-after stars in cinema, so it's not surprising that he turned down the role of Neo in The Matrix. The film, which nobody was sure would be a hit because it introduced a never-before-seen story in cinema, was passed over by Will in favor of starring in Wild Wild West, a complete disaster that won the Razzie Award for Worst Picture. Meanwhile, The Matrix starring Keanu Reeves grossed $467 million and launched a franchise with 3 more films. The role, eventually taken by Jamie Foxx, was offered by director Quentin Tarantino to Will. But they couldn't agree because the actor wanted to limit the violence and focus on the love story between Django and his enslaved wife. Another reason he didn't participate in the production was that he thought Django wasn't the main character. In hindsight, his ego may have prevented him from joining a film with Leonardo DiCaprio and Christoph Waltz, fearing they would overshadow him. Nonetheless, Django Unchained was a huge success, grossing $426 million and winning the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Around the same time, the Fresh Prince star missed the chance to star alongside the legendary Jackie Chan in the Rush Hour trilogy. Smith admitted he didn't want to do another cop movie, but despite his absence, the role was taken on by Chris Tucker, and the saga grossed a total of $849 million. Perhaps the most serious career mistake was turning down the lead role in Django Unchained. Leonardo DiCaprio. In the mid-1990s, Leonardo DiCaprio was an emerging star in Hollywood, and that's why he was on the verge of playing Robin in the movie Batman Forever. Directed by Joel Schumacher and released in 1995, this film was part of the Batman saga by Warner Brothers. According to director Joel Schumacher, DiCaprio expressed interest in playing the superhero's sidekick, but never attended the audition, and ultimately realized he didn't want to work on such a production, leading the role to be played by Chris O'Donnell. Additionally, Leo was another contender for the role of Neo in The Matrix. According to producer Lorenzo di Bonaventura, they were very close to hiring him to play the hacker, trapped in a simulation created by artificial intelligence. After meeting with the actor, he told them he couldn't do another effects-heavy film after Titanic, and declined in favor of Keanu Reeves. A few years ago, he also admitted he almost played another iconic film role, Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode II: Attack of the Clones. Despite meeting with George Lucas to explore the possibility of joining the saga, he was never really interested in participating, and ultimately, the character fell into the hands of Hayden Christensen. Madonna. Music always represented the primary facet of this artist, although she also ventured into acting with films like Dick Tracy and Evita. In the early 90s, the opportunity arose for her to portray Catwoman in Batman Returns, the second of Tim Burton's films about the superhero. While she didn't explain the reasons for rejecting the role, Madonna confessed that upon seeing Michelle Pfeiffer as Selina Kyle transformed into the villain, she felt she had made a mistake that she would regret for the rest of her life. At the end of the decade, she had a second chance to play a character that would become a cinema icon, Trinity, in the first Matrix installment. During an interview on The Tonight Show, she revealed her regret for not accepting the role, and added that not acting in what she considers one of the greatest movies of all time is something she will always lament. Nevertheless, not having a star of Madonna's caliber did not hinder The Matrix from triumphing among fans, partly thanks to the masterful work of Carrie-Anne Moss as the hacker fighting to stop the artificial intelligence that enslaved humanity. Scarlett Johansson. The actress known for her role as Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe had the misfortune of losing not one, but two roles to Kirsten Dunst. The first happened at age 11 when she auditioned for the role of Judy Shepard in Jumanji and was unlucky to be rejected in favor of her rival, who gave a wonderful performance in the adventure film. In 2005, she faced her arch-rival again for the second time in the lead role of Elizabethtown, a romantic comedy in which Kirsten Dunst again defeated her to land the role of Claire. Some film critics expressed that Scarlett didn't fit well into this type of character, so perhaps it was better that she didn't get it. Since reaching adulthood, countless fans and film experts have mentioned how much Scarlett resembles Marilyn Monroe. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before they produced a biographical film with her portraying the golden-era Hollywood actress. When My Week with Marilyn finally entered pre-production, Scarlett was the first actress offered the role but turned it down because she felt it wasn't right for her, and the role ended up being played by Michelle Williams. Anne Hathaway. While Jennifer Lawrence did a fantastic job in Silver Linings Playbook, it was the star of The Princess Diaries who almost landed the lead role. Due to creative differences with director David O. Russell, she left the production before filming even began. And the rest is history, as Jennifer went on to win the Oscar for Best Actress. Things turned out well for Anne in the end, as the same year she won the Oscar, Golden Globe, and BAFTA for Best Supporting Actress in the musical drama Les Miserables. A couple of years earlier, she faced a similar situation during the production of Alice in Wonderland. In this adaptation of Lewis Carroll's work, director Tim Burton offered her the role of Alice, but she declined because she felt she had outgrown the age where she could play innocent princesses in pretty dresses. The lead role went to Australian actress Mia Wasikowska, while Anne preferred to play the White Queen, which suited her image and age at the time of filming. Jennifer Lawrence. The first 15 years of the new millennium were dominated by fantasy novel adaptations into movies, whether it was Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, and of course, Twilight, which at one point seemed destined to become a mega franchise. When it came time to choose the actress to play Bella Swan, Jennifer seemed like the ideal choice for her ability to bring seriousness, romance, and a touch of emotion all at once. After her audition, she was ready to be the star of the franchise, but the producers didn't even call her to inform her that she was rejected and that the role went to Kristen Stewart. Following this setback, she tried to join another novel adaptation, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, written by Swedish author Stieg Larsson. Lawrence topped the list of actresses considered for the role of Lisbeth Salander, but was denied because the producers wanted a less famous actress, which turned out to be Rooney Mara. Nevertheless, these obstacles didn't hinder her career, as shortly after she landed the lead role in The Hunger Games and won an Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook. Reese Witherspoon. The star of Legally Blonde narrowly missed out on one of the most memorable roles of the 90s, Cher Horowitz in Clueless. Early in her film career, she auditioned for the lead role in the high school set comedy, but lost out to Alicia Silverstone. Director Amy Heckerling loved Reese's audition, though she admits that Alicia was born to play Cher in the film, which is regarded as one of the best of the decade. 2 years after losing this role, the eventual Oscar winner suffered another setback when director Wes Craven turned down her interpretation of Sidney Prescott in Scream. The audition for the role, which went to Neve Campbell, was a tough competition among Molly Ringwald, Brittany Murphy, Melissa Joan Hart, Tori Spelling, and Reese herself. However, Reese wasn't sure about starring in a horror film, and in fact, it's possible that rejecting it may have saved her career, as such roles have the potential to pigeonhole actors into similar characters repeatedly. Tom Cruise. Since Iron Man premiered in 2008, there was a possibility that Tom Cruise would portray Tony Stark. 10 years ago, when the rights to Iron Man still belonged to 20th Century Fox, Tom Cruise, who was 34 at the time, considered the idea of playing Stark. However, according to Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, the fees Cruz requested were higher than what a profitable studio like Fox was willing to risk on an untested superhero property. At that time, the Marvel Universe was not yet under Disney's umbrella, and the financial risk was considerable. In addition to financial aspects, there were also creative issues that influenced the decision. Cruz wanted to ensure that the script and direction aligned with his vision, and according to later statements, he never saw a script that fully convinced him to take the role. In the book The Reign of Marvel Studios, Feige also mentions that Cruz's expectations were too high for a project that at that time didn't have the certainty of success that we know now. Once Tom Cruise was out of the picture, Fox considered other options like Jim Caviezel and Timothy Olyphant. However, Jon Favreau, who directed the first Iron Man film, strongly preferred Robert Downey Jr. Favreau, convinced of Downey Jr.'s talent, even threatened to quit the project if his favorite candidate wasn't offered the role. This firm stance proved crucial, and ultimately, Downey Jr. was cast as Tony Stark, who, despite personal challenges, became an icon of the Marvel Universe and left an indelible mark on the franchise. John Travolta. In 1981, it seemed like all the big Hollywood actors were vying for the titular role in Rambo, the story about a Vietnam War veteran who returns to a hostile country where the police make his life impossible. Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, and John Travolta were the actors in contention for the role of John Rambo, until Sylvester Stallone secured the character and turned it into a fantastic action film. A few years later, the star of Saturday Night Fever almost had a second chance in Rambo: First Blood Part 2, this time playing the veteran soldier's partner in a story closer to comedy than the action of the first installment. However, Stallone opposed the idea, and the script was revised to keep him as the sole star. In 1986, Tom Cruise faced tough competition to land the role of Maverick in Top Gun. The producer's first choice was Travolta, until his agent demanded too much money and they refused, citing his recent box office failures. 1994 was a good year in his career thanks to his big comeback as Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction. What's most striking is that it could have been even better if he had accepted the role of Forrest Gump. According to director Robert Zemeckis, John was his first choice for the lead role, but chose not to participate in the production that earned Tom Hanks an Oscar, and later admitted it was one of his biggest mistakes. Emilia Clark. Game of Thrones star Emilia Clark has become accustomed to appearing on screen with little or no clothing, but it was precisely this excess nudity that was a key factor in her rejecting the role of Anastasia Steele in 50 Shades of Grey. During an interview, Emilia confessed that although she loved director Sam Taylor Johnson's vision, she ultimately chose not to do the film because she was already tired of appearing nude so many times on Game of Thrones and felt that if she didn't do something about it, she would be typecast in such roles for the rest of her career. In the end, Dakota Johnson got the role of Anastasia, mainly because up to that point, she had only played supporting roles and used 50 Shades of Grey as her first starring role. Robin Williams. In the films, the actor who portrayed Hagrid was Robbie Coltrane, who recently passed away, and we can't imagine this character without his portrayal, but the reality could have been very different. Robin Williams was on the verge of playing the beloved character in the Harry Potter film series. The legendary actor, known for his charisma and ability to make us laugh, was so enthusiastic about the film adaptation of the first book that he decided to call Chris Columbus, the director of the first two installments, directly. According to Janet Hershenson, the casting director of these films, in a recent interview with the Huffington Post, Robin Williams himself tried to get this role at the time. But there was a major obstacle. Most fans of this franchise probably already know, but the main issue was that one of the requirements to participate in the project was to be from the United Kingdom, while Williams was from the United States. Furthermore, in this interview, we learned that Robin later tried to get the role of Remus Lupin, but unfortunately was rejected for the same reason as the first time, which probably didn't sit well with the American actor. Still, we can't complain about the result, since all the actors chosen ended up fitting very well into their roles. Henry Cavill. For Twilight fans, Robert Pattinson will always be the only one capable of bringing Edward to life. However, there was a moment at the beginning of the first movie's production when saga author Stephen E. Meyer considered Henry Cavill as the one who could play the vampire. At that time, Henry was a novice actor with few credits to his name, but still, the author was determined he should transform into Edward Cullen. In fact, she announced to her fans through a blog post that the British actor would be the chosen one until everything fell apart. And the producers decided to cast Robert Pattinson, considering 24-year-old Henry too old to play a teenager. Emma Watson. Emma is one of Hollywood's most talented actresses today. Watson rose to fame for her role as Hermione in the hugely successful Harry Potter film series, known for playing some of the most intellectual roles and earning admiration from her fans. While she has taken on iconic roles over the years, she once turned down a very promising one. Emma was once offered a role in the Oscar-winning film La La Land, starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, but Watson declined. In a 2017 interview, Watson spoke about why she turned down the role, citing scheduling conflicts with her upcoming film, a live-action version of Beauty and the Beast. Joe Alwyn, the star of Mary Queen of Scots, came close to landing the role of Liam Neeson's son, the love-struck and adorable Sam, in the perennial Christmas movie Love Actually, as he revealed on Live with Kelly and Ryan. Alwyn, who dated Taylor Swift for 6 years, said he enjoyed skipping school to go to this audition and explained that he had to go through a whole series of workshops. In the end, he didn't get the role, but remembers meeting Hugh Grant and screenwriter Richard Curtis and sitting down to read some things with them. The part in the 2003 classic ultimately went to Maze Runner actor Thomas Brodie Sangster. Saoirse Ronan. The star of Hannah and the Grand Budapest Hotel, Saoirse Ronan, explained that in 2013 she auditioned for the role of Rey, the girl who becomes the Jedi's last hope in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. She also revealed that the audition involved recreating a scene where the character pulls a lightsaber out of a bag. According to Saoirse, many Hollywood stars auditioned to portray Rey, but director J.J. Abrams had a very different idea about the character and ultimately chose Daisy Ridley, who at that time was an unknown actress who had only had a handful of roles in small productions. As for the role of Kylo Ren, Eddie Redmayne was one of the actors who auditioned to play the villain and admits he ruined his only chance by using a ridiculous and incomprehensible accent. The star of Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan, also tried to get a role in one of the male characters, but never revealed if it was for Poe Dameron or Finn. Rachel McAdams. Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep will always be remembered for their roles in The Devil Wears Prada, but imagine how the movie would have been with other actresses in their place. In fact, it may come as a shock to most fans that Rachel McAdams was the producer's first choice to play Andy Sachs, the character that ultimately ended up in Anne Hathaway's hands. Helen Mirren and Kim Basinger were also top choices for the role of Miranda Priestley, the formidable editor of Runway magazine who makes Andy's life miserable, but neither of them showed interest in the film. The role ended up being brilliantly portrayed by Meryl Streep, who not only received an Oscar nomination for Best Actress, but also became an icon of popular culture. Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox turned down the role of Rachel in Friends for a reason that changed the course of the series. In 1994, Friends made its debut on NBC and quickly became one of the most iconic television series of all time. The main cast, consisting of Jennifer, Courtney, Lisa, Matt, Matthew, and David, became synonymous with their characters. But before Courtney became the obsessive-compulsive Monica, the producers had different plans for her. Initially, the creators wanted Courtney to play Rachel, but she had a different preference. When offered the role of Rachel, Courtney requested to play Monica instead. Her strong personality and connection with the character led her to make this decision. Courtney's choice as Monica had a significant impact on the series. Her portrayal challenged beauty stereotypes and delivered memorable comedic performances. Additionally, Monica's character addressed less discussed issues in primetime television, such as infertility and age differences in relationships. Matt LeBlanc. 5 years after Friends ended and after several failed projects, Matt LeBlanc was handed a copy of the Modern Family script when the series was still in its early stages of production. While he acknowledged the potential of the family comedy, he thought he wasn't the right actor for the role of Phil Dunphy. Not long after, the producers of Modern Family chose Ty Burrell instead. As an actor who had never had a leading role before, Burrell had to fight to convince ABC executives to give him a chance. He eventually proved to be the perfect actor to bring the always humorous Phil Dunphy to life, winning 2 Emmy Awards for Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. As for Matt LeBlanc, he experienced a resurgence with the acclaimed series Episodes, hosted Top Gear for 3 seasons, and was also the lead star and executive producer of the series Man with a Plan. Britney Spears. At the beginning of the 2000s, Britney Spears was the most famous female star on the planet. It was natural for her to try to diversify into other media like film, and she received the script for The Notebook to play the lead role of Allie Hamilton. By 2002, the production of the movie had already begun, and Ryan Gosling was selected to bring Noah to life. They had not yet decided who would play Allie, so in addition to Britney, Ryan did several screen tests with Reese Witherspoon, Jessica Biel, Ashley Judd, and Rachel McAdams, with the latter winning the coveted role. The Notebook was finally released in 2004, grossing over $100 million and instrumental in catapulting Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams to worldwide fame. Meanwhile, Britney's career began to decline, and she never starred in a Hollywood movie. Justin Timberlake. Taron Egerton may have been praised by critics for his portrayal of Elton John in Rocketman, but at the start of production, he wasn't even among the options considered by the music legend for the role. In fact, the first person Sir Elton considered was none other than Justin Timberlake, the former member of NSYNC turned producer and performer of some of the most popular songs in recent years. However, for unknown reasons, they never got in touch. Tom Hardy was another favorite until Elton John thought he was too old for the role. It was only when he saw Taron Egerton's audition, where he didn't see an actor but rather saw himself, that he realized he had found the ideal actor. Elizabeth Olsen. This actress had a brief career as a child actress in the mid-90s, but set aside acting to focus on her studies until she decided to give show business another shot by auditioning for the role of Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones. As Elizabeth herself admits, her audition was a disaster from start to finish, because without much guidance on the type of acting the directors were looking for, she chose to perform a monologue about the end of the first season of the series. Unsure if the producers wanted a British accent, she ended up mixing it with her American accent with disastrous results. By now, we all know what happened with the role of Daenerys, as it ended up in the capable hands of Emilia Clark. Even though Elizabeth Olsen felt like a failed actress after her audition, she had her best opportunity to date when she portrayed Wanda Maximoff in several Marvel movies and the hugely successful series WandaVision. Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. The cowboy duo portrayed by Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal in the 2005 film Brokeback Mountain could have been played by 2 very different actors. Initially, director Gus Van Sant wanted 2 renowned actors like Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio to realize his vision for the film. Gus Van Sant eventually left the project because no award-winning actor, including Matt Damon and Ryan Phillippe, wanted to join such a controversial film. Ang Lee took over as director, having previously directed the first cinematic adaptation of Hulk. Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger were the only ones who showed real interest in portraying the cowboy couple, and once Brokeback Mountain was released, it became a success, winning 3 Oscars. Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio eventually had the chance to work together in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Claire Danes. In an interview on Dax Shepard's podcast Armchair Expert, Danes revealed that she was supposed to act alongside Leonardo DiCaprio again in Titanic, but she has no regrets about turning it down. She told Shepard that there was significant interest in her for the role of Rose, but having just done the romantic epic Romeo plus Juliet with Leo, she wasn't keen on repeating with her former co-star. Both actors shared the same agent at the time, and while Leo chose to go for the role, Claire didn't feel ready for it. She also recalled that after Titanic came out, Leo skyrocketed into another Hollywood stratosphere. She added that when she attended the premiere of The Man in the Iron Mask, the room shifted toward Leo. Everyone in the room gravitated toward him, which intimidated her, so she simply couldn't do it. She didn't want to be in that same situation. Now tell me, which actors do you think were perfect for these roles? Leave your opinion in the comments. Here are 2 options that you'll surely love.